Just making a little cup of tea. Last night, I saw a clip out of Iran that I cannot shake. A young woman standing in the open, singing in Persian, not screaming, not chanting, just singing. Her eyes are bright. Like she's holding on to something fragile and holy, the idea of freedom. And then you hear it, a sharp whistle out of the camera, something that you cannot see. In 1 second, her entire face changes. She doesn't get nervous. She gets scared. The kind of fear that says something is close, and this can end badly. The singing stopped, the video cuts, and I'm here in Israel. Just made me a cup of tea, and in the quiet situation, I realize that whistle over Tehran is very similar to the alarms that we get here of an incoming missile that we need to take shelter and find refuge for. They are all part of the same story, because the people crushing her freedom are the same machine that has spent decades trying to crush ours. And if that machine weakens, if the IRGC loses control, Israel will breathe differently. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is your ground report, where we cut through all the noise and stay with what's real. Today, what we know, what's happening underground, what changes, especially for the Iranian people, if the United States decides to strike Iran's security apparatus. Let's begin. Sometimes this region sounds like a blur of names, so let's make the map simple, fast, and clear for all of us to understand. Iran is not next door to the United States of America, so when you hear that the United States is building military options, the real question is from where and how. Because the buildup isn't just one thing, it's a whole system. One hub that appears in the reporting all over the place is the El Ubaida military base in Qatar, which is a major United States base that supports air operations and logistics, and it provides support for US military all across the region. Another name that surfaced is the Diego Garcia, far out in the Indian Ocean, important for moving heavily aircrafts, supplies, and also long-range capabilities. And then you have the sea. When American carrier and its group moves towards the Arabian Sea, that is not a headline for drama. That is a moving airfield, jets, surveillance, protection, position to defend, to deter, or to strike. And that's the geography. Now, let's put the reporting into a clean timeline. So here's what's been reported in sequence, without trying to turn rumors into facts. First, multiple reports describe the United States thickening its military presence in and also around the Gulf. One report says that the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln was seen moving from the Pacific Ocean towards the Arabian Sea, with assessments that it could reach an effective position in less than a week. And second, alongside that, there are reports of increased movements of American cargo aircrafts and refueling aircrafts toward the Gulf bases, including El Ubaida. That kind of flow, it matters because it's a difference between a one-night strike and also a sustained capability. And third, the naval picture and reporting includes destroyers equipped with cruise missiles and at least one attacked submarine described as part of the posture. There's also talk that are unconfirmed about additional carrier assets that are being considered. And fourth, on timing. The signals are mixed. reporting in the last 2 days described some hesitant tide to fears of regional escalation and the need to complete defensive deployments, including the mention of American THAAD air defensive systems, the same systems that supported Israel in attacks from Iran. These reports describe concern from Israeli and also Gulf voices about striking too early before the defensive layers are fully ready for retaliation. And fifth, the political language is escalating. The United States president has spoken publicly about pushing for major changes in Iran's leadership, and Iran's leadership is answering with warnings that any strike on the top of the system would be treated as a step towards total war. And sixth, inside Iran, the country is under intense internal pressure. The numbers on the crackdown are disputed across different reports, some citing thousands, and Iranian officials acknowledging at least 5,000, while other claims go far higher, like 16,000. The exact number is not something that we can lock down for this material alone. What is consistent is the picture: mass arrests, brutal force, and fear of wider punishment. And seventh, there are signs of an informal war. One major report describes a brief takeover of satellite TV and the feeds that flashed anti-regime messages and calls for the security forces not to aim weapons at the civilians, while Iran has repeatedly restricted internet access from its people at points described as dropping to a tiny fraction of normal traffic. And now, we move to the hardest question of them all. Without fantasy, if the United States strikes and the goal is to hit the security machine behind repression, what does that actually look like on the ground? Okay, let's go. So when people hear attack on Iran, they imagine one dramatic night and then a new era begins. Real life doesn't work like that, especially with a regime that is built like a fortress. What usually happens is a sequence of events, okay? So, layers, okay? Each layer is designed to reduce the regime's ability to operate outside Iran and also inside Iran. So here are the realistic buckets that leaders think in, okay? Let's start with sticky note number 1, air defenses, okay? If you want meaningful options, you reduce the risk. Radar, anti-air systems, tracking, basically anything that threatens aircrafts and drones. This also connects to something that is reported about and is called the coordination. Israel has in the past operations helped degrade defensive layers so that the American heavy assets had less attacks against it, less threats against it. That's what real coordination looks like. It's quiet, it's technical, it's deliberate, and it helps explain timing, because leaders aren't just asking, can we hit targets? They're asking, can we observe what comes next? Now let's talk about sticky note number 2, the missiles, okay? So the second bucket, especially for Israel, is the missile problem. Because if Iran retaliates, it's not theoretical, it's incoming. One detail from the Israeli military reporting in our materials is important because it's practical. Many Iranian missiles rely on liquid fuel, and that fueling process can take roughly 2 to 3 hours. That creates a window where systems are exposed, detectable, and vulnerable. But there is the honest line. This does not mean no threat. It means that the threat is a race of intelligence, of timing, of offense, and also defense working together. And that same reporting is explicit. Israel's defenses reduce damage, but they do not erase risk completely. The third bucket is command and control, the nervous system. When officials say surgical strikes, they often mean coordination, centers, communications, hubs, places where orders flow from the leadership units onto the ground. And this is what needs to be dismantled. Disrupting command and control doesn't free a nation overnight, but it can slow the machine, make it harder to coordinate mass violence, harder to organize, and harder for any kind of retaliation, harder to control the streets. And the fourth bucket is the internal security apparatus, the crackdown machine. And this is where that video matters, because that whistle and the fear in our face is what it looks like when a regime's power is personal, when it's immediate, when it's close. If the United States frames action as standing with the Iranian people, this bucket is the moral center, punishing the parts of the system that is used to cross civilians while simultaneously tightening the diplomatic isolation. But the old material also includes a hard reality. It would be extremely difficult to topple the regime from the air only. That's not weakness, that's realism, that's the reality. Air power can damage and degrade. It doesn't automatically produce a clean political outcome. So, just a quick thing. If you rely on our reporting, make sure to subscribe, to share. Helps us reach more people around the world. Make sure to subscribe to TBN Israel on YouTube so that you never miss another episode of Boots on the Ground. So, when, how much, where? That's a pretty fair question. And if you're confused, you're normal. The simplest answer is this. Timing usually comes when three things line up: capability, defense, decision. Capability is in place. Defense is ready for retaliation. And the political decision is made that the accepted outcome is worth the blowback. And where is never just one dot on the map. It's an air, a sea base, logistical support, working as one system that is designed to operate together. So what does all of this mean right now? It means that the United States is building a posture that creates real options. Naval movement towards the Arabian Sea, air logistics into the Gulf, and a political tone that has sharpened. It's also matched by threats from Tehran. It also means that Iran's regime is under internal pressure, but pressure doesn't equal collapse. The crackdown described in your material shows that the regime still has tools, and it is still willing to use them. Now, what does this mean for Israel? Israel is not waiting. Israel is not passive. We provide in the last war under direct missile pressure everything that we know now. We can observe, we can stand, we can intercept thousands of projectiles, and our people are still here, going to school, going to kindergarten. We know what it means to stay standing. But readiness doesn't erase the risk. If this goes hot, Israel's immediate challenges are still real. The first is retaliation, missiles, drones, and proxy activity, and not only against Israel. But reporting raises the possibility of Iran targeting US bases in the region and pressuring global shipping lanes, including scenarios involving the Strait of Hormuz, because that's how you trigger global pain fast. The second is timing, because when the region takes a shock, the first hours matter. Air defenses, readiness, intelligence, and rapid response become the difference between contained and spreading. And Israel's role, based on what's described in everything that we know, it can be the quiet shaping role, degrading threats, opening corridors, strengthening defensive layers, and coordinating so that if the American heavy assets move, the battlefield is already changing. Now the values part without preaching. When you watch people risk everything to say that we want freedom, and you watch the regime answer with fear, with prisons, and with bullets, you understand. This isn't just geopolitics. It's a battle over what kind of world will survive. For me, faith doesn't replace tragedy. It steadies me inside me. It reminds me that evil is real, but not eternal, and that courage matters on the street and also in the Situation Room. So, if you pray for the people inside Iran who are praying for peace right now and are paying the price for freedom. Pray for wisdom to our leaders, to your leaders. Pray for all the innocent lives that are fighting for a better future, for a better Iran. And to you, in Iran, if you can watch us, know that we at Israel are standing with you and hoping for the day that you can come and visit us and we can come and visit you. So thank you so much, and keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and for the people of Iran.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.